Now, by the time I got to the gold unit, I actually had the ability to work as a clown, pre-show host, and ringmaster. During that time, I actually got to work with a vocal coach and started to get real ambitious to wanting to be a full-time ringmaster. Now, that ambition had always benefited me in the past, but this time it was starting to play against me. Because, unfortunately, I have to admit that I forced God to humble me. I say this because my favorite scripture, Matthew 23:12, says, "He who praises himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be praised." Unfortunately, although it was my favorite scripture, I didn't really pay attention to those warnings. While we were working in Knoxville, Tennessee, my wife and I suddenly found ourselves not working with Ringling Brothers anymore. Not sure exactly what to do, I spent the rest of the night in our hotel room staring at World's Fair Park. There, I stared at a golden globe that, would constantly be my figure as a reminder to be humble. Now, around this time, my wife was actually in the process of getting her U.S. citizenship. And considering that she was Cuban born, it would be best for her to be in Miami with family while that process happened. Considering my best friend lives in Las Vegas, he would give me a place to stay, and I could start to try to look for work with some of the connections that I have back home. When I got there, I immediately signed up for a website that would give me auditions to quality jobs. My very first weekend while being there, I had an audition that actually required me to be very physical. By the end of the audition, they had us do multiple burpees, and gonna be honest with you, I was dry heaving by the time I got home. However, one technique that I did learn is that whenever working with a casting director, be sure to get their email and phone number. That way, later on in the week, you can always message them to see if you're still in the running. When I did that, I actually found out that they picked their two people, but they were going to keep my number to keep me in consideration for future projects. Considering I didn't like the way my fitness level was working at that time, I decided to go to the gym every single day to be able to build up my cardio. While I was doing this, magically I got a phone call asking me to be able to join them on the project. Now, because my wife was in Miami at the time and I was in Las Vegas, I could give my full attention to this project. And because I did so, I was able to go to Brazil to work with this project, and also when they came to the US. My dedication to the project actually made it possible for me to become the lead there and give us a great business connection for by the time that my wife got her US citizenship, we were all set to go in Las Vegas. Now, I'm a firm believer that God's timing is perfect even when it doesn't align with ours. And in this case, it set us up for a good position. Little did we know that the gold unit would shut down a few months later, and a couple years later, Ringling would shut down altogether. But we were already in a good position for ourselves. Well, friends, I hope you guys have been enjoying the series as you always. Be sure to leave comments because I do enjoy watching them. Of course, as always, we'll see you tomorrow.